Okay, here's Sweet Caroline, my 2009 FZ6R, and I will be replacing that stock headlight with the projector beam from Retrofit Source. Here's it in the garage. Unfortunately it's daylight, so can't do much comparison, but there's without the lights on. So a little comparison. And then here's the high beam. Again, this is the stock. Okay, next you want to remove this rubber circular seal. It's in there pretty good. There you go. Take out the spring, or get that to remove the bulb. Okay, now just remove that retention spring screw. Headlight in the oven at 250 degrees for about 12 minutes. Here we go. The parts are separated now. Took quite a bit of work. I ended up using, as a prior thread said, 250 degrees for 12 minutes. Then I put it in, pried a little bit, or used a putty knife, pried a little bit, and it ended up cooling down too much, so I had to put it back in another, I think I did 5 minutes, pried a little bit more, and then I put in for another 8 minutes, and then actually with my wife helping pry while I was pulling, got it apart. You do have to be careful, obviously, because oven mitts don't allow the best dexterity, so I'd recommend finding something a little better, like maybe some kind of shop gloves that will help you with heat protection. Definitely messes up the putty knife. But then, as you can see there from that nice little recess where the glue is, and once you get it open, you can actually gain access to that and be able to put a color in the bulb or your crystal. Okay, this is the mini H1 projector. Apparently you want to remove that back ring there by removing those screws. There you can see the inserted bulb. The holder, the spring clip was a little bit hard to get in, but not too bad overall. The H4 adapter plate there, it actually has a little adjustment knob at the very top, because the instructions on the website say to put it at the top at the 12 o'clock position. That little knob wouldn't let it fit in because of where these little notches are, so you actually have to grind off the inside. I used my Dremel pretty easy. Once did that, I hooked it up on the bike and checked it on the back wall, and everything seemed nice and straight just by eyeballing, making sure the back of the H1 projector in there was flush against those lines on the reflector shield. So now I'm sealing it back up. Again, this part actually has to be out more because of the length of the bulb. Don't know what to do with this, so I'm just using it as like a line holder because it won't fit in here because the bulb sticks out too far. And then put it back in there and mount it on here. So far I have the relay mounted like that. It's a little snug, but it works. The ballast, I'm actually thinking of, I had it mounted right there before, and it works pretty good. So I might go back there, but I'm also thinking of actually putting it right here. However, then it actually kind of pushes tightly against those wires, so I'm not sure I want to do that. I might just mount it here and see how it goes. That way it'll protect it a little bit more from the water. But I did also silicone around the edges just to make sure. Okay, here's the finished assembly. As you can see, I got the GTI-R Shroud. Looked a little like it might be a little tight because of the H1 Projector, but as you can see, I actually have a bit of room left in there. I think it actually looks pretty good. I was concerned about a gap because the H1 was a little longer, but with it fully assembled you don't see it, so that's not bad. I did get a little bit of extra glue and put it in the housing for when I put it back in the oven at 265 for 12 minutes. Assembled back easily, much easier than coming apart. But then just to make sure I didn't have any water issues, I put a bead of silicone all around the outside, and then I figure I'm going to let that dry a little bit longer, and then I'll cut off the excess to make it look a little better. The fully assembled part, I couldn't figure out what to do with these wires, so I figured I should say what to do with this part, since it sticks out a little more than the stock. Then once fully assembled, I'll have to figure out what to do with all this extra slack wire so I don't have so much in there. For routing the cable, I actually lifted up the gas tank, ran the relay wire through this hole underneath the gas tank, put a little zip line there to hold it in place. Then underneath the bar, that's right in there, you can kind of see it, and then up there above the battery, and then tuck the excess right back about there. Worked pretty good. I think the wire routing, more impressed than what I thought I could do, but hey, again, just to figure out what to do with the excess slack. I'll probably mount the ballast and then figure out where to zip tie stuff together. Okay, here's Sweet Caroline all mounted up, but I decided to mount the ballast right underneath the back of this area here, and the relay is right behind here. Zip tied all the wires up like this to try to keep it out of the way of the light adjustments, so I can access those as needed. I think the hardest part, probably more so than the separation of the housing, was getting at that bolt right back there. Boy, that was a pain in the butt. Since unfortunately the headlight housing is actually mounted by a wishbone bracket to your front fairing. So it was hard getting that bolt slot lined up with the hole for it. But other than that, it's pretty good. And I tested it to make sure it works. There's your low beam. Seems like a bit of a blue tint maybe, but there's warming up. And then the high beam. Beyond that, it's just a matter of putting the side fairings back on and you're all done. So I'll take it for a test ride tonight and see how much good light output it gives me. Hopefully good. Hopefully I don't have to re-aim the light, but oh well. So here we go. She's all finished. This is low beam, probably about 15 feet away from the garage door, maybe. Unfortunately, got to hurry. It's beginning to rain, but again, 15 feet from the door, low beam, high beam. Not bad. Pretty happy with it. Just took a test ride. I think I might want to raise the beam aim up a little bit, give me a little further vision on my general riding beam. But again, generally happy with it. Here's the look of it. That's a 5,000 watt bulb. Again, the GTI-R.